All right, we're live. What's going on, y'all? Sure everybody's looking forward to Friday. Unless you work Saturday, then, you know, just another day. All right. They're sure everything's good. So I'm gonna say some stuff that's personal, but people suck, and no good deed goes unpunished. Let me just tell you that. Not gonna get into the details, but unfortunately, personally, some stuff going on. Not with my wife or kids, but we were trying to help somebody, and it kind of backfired on us. So people suck. You know. So how is everybody doing? Big Sean, what's up? Carlos, what's going on? Carlos, I agree. Yeah. People suck. You know. I know somebody related to the situation subscribes to my channel, so I don't want to say too much. But, you know, people really do absolutely suck sometimes. So, anyway, I mean, I don't really get into political stuff, but, you know, big news obviously was the attempt on President Trump, and a whole bunch of liberals are getting a whole lot of backlash for saying some ugly things, which is hilarious. You know, Tenacious D lost their insurance for their concert and had to cancel their tour, had to cancel that, stuff like that. So just interesting. I don't really have any good topics to start this one off because stuff happening, but oh, so how's everybody's how's work been for y'all? Not terribly slow, but slowed down where I'm at. You guys staying busy, or is it slowed down, or, you know, balls to the wall still? James Jones, not good. That sucks. Yeah, I mean, I've heard a bunch of that. Stupid busy. Oh, that's good, Sean. Retired. The ball mechanic retired. Nice problem to have. James Jones has been busy, but I've been going in circles with an F-150 and AC issues. Those could be fun. Chris bought a Cardac instead of an Autel. Feel better. Thanks for the insight. Yeah, no, I it's, you know, I've never personally dealt with it, but I know at least a couple people that had. It was both times it was GM, and they literally got told, you know, and it was a GM problem, but rather than the help desk doing anything, they just kind of, you don't have approved hardware, so we're not helping you. Space Cap, what's up? So yeah, I know it's a little more money, but peace of mind, man. James Jones, what's going on with the F-150 and the AC issues? We've got some pretty smart people in the chat, and they might be able to help you. Chris Dorback says ASTA, formerly ASTE event in September. Want to go? I mean, it's a possibility. Obviously, I'm not doing. I, I might. I mean, I've thought about it. I've got a place to stay up there. My stepson actually lives in Raleigh. Actually just bought a house. I think they closed on it. But I've thought about it. But I didn't realize they changed the name. Do you know why they changed the name? I'm curious now. James Jones says 2010 F-150 Platt dual auto zone came in for poor AC, internal compressor failure. Replaced compressor condenser with dryer and expansion valve. Worked great, then went to shit, and I've been in circles since. Ooh. What are the pressures when it's running? Okay, good, Chris, because I was like, I'm in their Facebook group and I haven't gotten any notifications about them changing their names. So I mean that's kind of weird. 60 at the evap core. Chris Dorback says I'm sending 3 to 4 employees that haven't been back since before COVID. I've actually never been there, which is odd because Raleigh's 6 hours away from me. 235, pressure's high, 50, also high when it's 95 degrees outside. Renegade, what's up? Appreciate you telling people to hit that like button. Let's think about that. Low side pressure is high. Place the compressor. I mean, you definitely have some sort of restriction in the system. So a humble mechanic back there in 18, just saying. Yeah, I mean, with the pressures like that, I mean, high pressure, but it's not pulling the low side low. That's kind of weird. I've been to Humble's house, so my everything including lines have been replaced, but I'm still only getting 60 at the evap core. That's some odd pressures though. Mind if that was 95 outside and it's been raining for a while. True. I know you've cleaned. There's nothing on the condenser. Obviously, it's new. One test I would probably do is with the gauges hooked up, I would spray the condenser with water. Just go in there with a hose and just hose it down to try to cool that condenser down to see if you've got something wrong with the cooling system side of the, clutch fan or whatever. I don't know. That one's weird. You've done that. Okay. Yeah, low side's not low enough. I know it's 235, it's capable of producing pressure, but why is the low side not pulling down, at 50? That's the weird part that keeps getting me is why is the low side 50? And I don't think that is a weird location where it would read funky because of where the low side valve is. Yeah, the ball mechanic has a point. Too much oil. Usually though, your pressures aren't that. Usually with excessive oil, the pressures look fine. It's just poor performance, but Charles, I've seen a couple bad expansion valves lately. Also had one right now that's not a farm vehicle, but it is landscaping and has a lot of grass seed stuck in the radiator. Yeah, I mean, expansion valve is a good possibility. Okay, so he calls for 6 ounces. Not too much oil in the system for him. I mean, the pressures are weird, and it shows the compressor is able to produce pressure. So, I mean, that would come down to the regulating valve, i.e., the expansion valve, really. If you don't have too much oil in the system, you're properly charged. I mean, I would seriously look at replacing the expansion valve again. If it's not a Ford one, either a Ford one or a different brand. Because one of the things I've had is aftermarket parts where you will get you order a new one and it does the exact same thing. And it's because it's the same batch and they have all the same problems. So, I mean, that's That's where my mind keeps going with those pressures. I mean, I know your chart says that's where they should be, but you know, I'm in Georgia and I don't see those pressures on an F-150 to, you know, 2010 or 2010. We used Napa reman stuff first, then went OEM with everything. Oh, so you've already changed everything twice. Wow. No, the ball mechanic, I know it's not terribly high, but if it's able to produce 235 psi, the pump's working, is what I'm saying. Yeah, I mean, Chris, that's where I'd be in Georgia. It'd be, you know, I'd be looking right around 30 is what I would expect. He's already replaced it with all Ford parts, and I'm assuming it's doing the exact same thing it did before you replaced it from Napa parts, right? No sun load sensor. The temp sensor and everything there is good also. Chicago. Charles says, stupid question. You're using your AC machine. Are you charging on both high and low? Says, yep. I believe he said, Chris, that he already replaced the evap core. Check blend order there. Everything's good. You know, Charles says, just had another one 2 weeks ago where I messed with it for the whole week, couldn't get it right. I vacuumed everything down, charged it through only the low side. And it was expansion valve type system, just charging it through the low side fixed it. I drove it for a week while blowing around 42 on average, going down the road and 49 at a standstill. And he lives in Georgia. More than likely, my theory on that anyway is you have a questionable expansion valve. Charles, not James. Because I've found if you charge on the high side and it doesn't work properly and you recharge on the low side, chances are the high pressure dump into the high side kind of just pisses off the expansion valve. So you probably just had a stuck expansion valve. Because I've had people do that where they'll have that problem and then it'll go away because they charged it on the low side. My theory anyway. I don't have a proof for that one. System running, system off hasn't changed. No, Charles, you're fine. Sorry. James Jones says, I've charged high and low and charged with the system running and system off hasn't changed. That's crazy. Real Flux Gaming, hoping my mechanic can get my boost issue fixed. I've been getting frustrated. He fixed a boost leak, but the car is not right where it should be. Yeah, well, the joy of performance tuning. Chris Dorback, China refrigerant, El Ho Tri name brand. I mean, like I've messed with this so much. Our AC machine broke today on another car. Even tried adding and removing Freon to see if the listing for the vehicle isn't right, and nothing still. JBC Tech, smash that like button. Appreciate. Yeah, because that's odd. Because an undercharged R134A system should actually blow colder, and it doesn't do that. That is definitely weird. Louis Cordon, FRM just copped a Top Done Phoenix Plus on Prime Day. Was in sale for $919 from $1,200. That's awesome. Contaminated refrigerant, or, yeah. I mean that's a possibility. Not many R1234, not many R134A machines have sealant. If they've vacuumed, if they've got sealant in that, his machine broke. If they've pulled sealant out of another vehicle, or that vehicle, and the filters were not properly replaced or are working and bypass. I don't know if those filters bypass, but could the system have gotten contaminated with sealant? Yeah, see, James Jones know that. He slightly undercharges that are older, make them perform better. But, I mean, the only things left is contamination, either from not pure R134A. I don't know why I keep want to say R1234YF. Or it's got possibly sealant. I mean, that's another where you're contaminating the new system you just installed. That'd be something that is possible. I don't know if that's, I've never had. Usually the machine breaks is, but that's just thinking off the top of my head. John Doick, good or bad idea for a person in their mid-40s to change careers to being a mechanic? No. The biggest thing that I tell people that aren't, 19 is, one, you're going to enter at the bottom, just like you would do changing any career. But the big thing is your body. If you've already got knee problems, back problems, auto repair is going to aggravate them. That's the biggest thing, is you have to be still physically able to do the job. That's the only time I recommend somebody not get into auto repair, is if their body is already problematic. And that, I'm not picking on anybody, but if you're, your back's messed up from a car accident, or messed up from, weightlifting or whatever, that's the only time I would encourage somebody not to get into auto repair. Age-wise, it doesn't matter. You're going to have to start a little bit at the bottom, but, you're 40, you have plenty of life experience, it's pretty easy to move up as you learn. So that's the only thing I caution against is sealant would not be good. No, sealant is never good. Belt could be on backwards. LOL, pumping backwards. Think that one. I mean, maybe. Don Derek, I'm enrolled at a local community college this fall, coming from an IT career, was laid off, and my job was sent to India and AI. Oh, yeah. That is unfortunately way too common. I have another channel where I do computer stuff, and I have an account with Twitter for that channel, and a bunch because of how the algorithm works for Twitter. So I get fed a lot of IT people that, I mean, like one guy had been laid off for 8 months and he couldn't find a job. I mean, like couldn't find not even the same pay. He couldn't find a job to replace it in IT. So yeah, that sucks, but you know, they can't outsource auto repair at this point or for any reasonable amount of time going forward. Charles, by the way, I hate Nissan 2018 Pathfinder. How about that? I hate all Nissans. Honestly, didn't even know there was sealant for AC. That could be a possibility. Thank you for answering my question. My body is okay for my age, surprisingly. That's good. Yeah, that's the only caveat for somebody getting in, you know, and I say the same thing for somebody in their 30s, because your body is, you're physically doing stuff every day, and you're going to be bending over, you're going to be, you know, going down on your knees. And it's really important, by the way, wear eye protection, wear hearing protection, and sorry about the phone. It's not mine. Wear hearing protection, wear eye protection, take care of those parts of your body going forward. One of my biggest regrets is lack of hearing protection. As we have a bald mechanic hard at hearing in the chat, pull out the protection. You know, we had a kid that worked at the shop I used to work at, and he was really worried he was going to be made fun of because he wore ear protection, eye protection, and a dust mask. Anytime he did anything with brakes or whatever, he put a dust mask on him. And, you know, if anybody would have made fun of him for that, they'd had to talk to me, because you only got one body. Take care of it. I mean, I'm a you know, model of you know, body, you know, taking care of myself, but you know. Yeah, see, yeah, the do-it-yourselfer refrigerants have sealant in a lot of cases. Getting back to James Jones' part, the crazy part about this truck is the system worked great for like 8 hours after the first repair. Then it stopped working. I have had a solid 35 temp difference. Kind of sounds like sealant contamination. In retrospect, obviously, but I mean that's especially with your AC machine breaking shortly thereafter. I mean, I don't know what happened with your AC machine, but yeah, that's crazy. Pat House, 2018 Dodge paint is defective, apparently. Probably the newer ones, too. I don't own any Dodge products, so. James Jones, another crazy part is this truck can share every part from a 4.6 and 5.4 except the evap core. That's interesting. Big Sean, the mini toolbox, it's not worthy of a tour. It's got like pens and touch-up paint and stuff like that. I've got two of them. I've got the orange one, and then I've got a Revel mini toolbox, but there's nothing in there that's special. JWC Tech, loving these Matco Titan spring-loaded universal joints extensions added to a 1/4-inch impact swavel will get you places you never thought of. Good to know. James Jones, our Napa compressor was for a 5.4, but Ford sent us a 4.6. Anything between 909 and 610 share almost all the parts. It's interesting. 66C10, what's up? James Jones, was that a landline? No. No, that was a that was an Android phone. Its default ringtone. My wife's work is forwarded to that phone. I don't know why anybody would have a landline anymore. So anyway, John DeKirk. So when I get tools and such, considering my age, should I consider lighter weight stuff, stick to air, as opposed to the overpowered super high torque cordless impacts? Start out with air. The price to get into it is considerably cheaper. The convenience factor, when I say air, I mean 1/2-inch impact, maybe a 3/8 impact. Then look at battery tools for, small impact, like 1/4-inch or impact drivers and stuff like that. But I would just go with air simply for the cost. Considerably less money. They're dead nuts reliable in most cases, and that'll give you more budget for more important things that, like, actual tools that you're gonna need, like Torx bits and stuff. So don't think you have to run out and buy the electric tool starting out. 1/2-inch impact, just get a one from Harbor Freight. 66C10, eye protection on the brake line. Who wants a piece of metal in your eye? Fun fact, and this was on my wife's car. I broke a plastic clip doing her 100K service at my house and cut my eye, which, oh my God, cutting your eye hurts like hell. Went to the ophthalmologist, and there's really not much they can do. They give you some drops and tell you it sucks to suck. But while I was in that examination, I have metal in my eye. The doctors go, I think it was my other eye that one eye got cut, and he looked at my other eye and saw rust. So I actually have metal in my eye. Wear eye protection. Yeah, always wear hearing protection is so underappreciated. Charlie, I wear eye protection, masks, hearing protection. I do get talked about, but I don't care. I tell them to snort brake dust. Yes. Yes. No. I mean, I like I said, if anybody would have given him any crap about wearing that stuff, I would have been between him and them. because it's his safety, it's his body. You shouldn't make fun of people for trying to protect themselves. Chris Storback says to John, you'll be well geared to specialize in electrical. That is a massive void in the industry. Learn. Yes. Learn diagnostics, learn electrical, diagnostics. You can deal with the electrons. You will definitely have a place in the industry. Pat House, brake lathe must be a chariot shop. There's a lot of shops, especially in the South, that still do brake lathes, still machine rotors. And understandable if you're dealing with F-250s and F-350s and stuff like that. But anything lower than that, you're better off just getting a rotor. But, James Jones' vacuum pump died on his AC machine. Okay. But if you have restricted systems because of sealant, that'll put a bigger load on the vacuum pump. Again, theory. I'm not at the car, but John says that's my plan, especially since I'm in California. We have more EVs and hybrids per capita than anyone else. Yes. ED for the win. I have a question. Do I need to program an instant cluster for a 2010 F-150? Yes. It's not real. It's not a programming. It's more of a, you can do it via PMI if you have a scan tool that's capable of that, I believe. Because it's just basically pulling the old information out of the cluster, putting new information in the cluster. If the old cluster is completely dead, you will need to program it via, God, the word just went out of my head, as built. But yeah, it will need to be programmed. Dylan Hoffman, do you have a toolbox tour of your orange Matco box? You talking about the little one that's behind me? No. No, the mini toolbox, it looks cool. It's got junk in it. I've got the Revel version of it in my other Revel, and they've got tape and pens and highlighters and touch-up paint and stuff like that, and they're just junk drawers, but they look cool. James Jones, on the other side of things, I have my Matco dealer order me a JCS 773 last week. Can't wait for that. You will love it. Yeah, nothing like getting a new roll cart. I hate when it does that. Sorry, it just scrolled down way down. Charles, all of your key programming for the PAT system is inside the cluster, so yes, it needs to be reprogrammed. You need to have every single key for that cluster. Yeah, that's something I did forget about. And you have to have 2 keys with 4, period. CC 66 C10 with turn rotors. Anything have an excess run out, I use the Pro Cut on the car to compensate, save the customer money until the next job, since I charge no extra to use on car Pro Cut. Yeah. Chris Storback, IR 2135 Ti, best impact ever made, changing my mind. I can't. I still have my 2135 Ti that's old as dirt, and it still works great. Pat House, nice on car, makes sense. Space saver. James Jones, have you had any hands-on with the new M12 stubbies? No, I haven't yet. They're supposed to be sending my samples out, so hopefully I will have my grubby little hands on them soon. But they They're sending out samples, so. Pat House, I spent an 8-hour shift to get an aluminum flake out of my eye. Worst day. Yeah. I've and keep in mind, I've gotten a lot better in the last several years, but I've not been the best at following what I preach. I mean, I've had metal in my eyes. Obviously, I told that story. But I've had my fair share of crap in my eyes. Let me just say that. T. Corrales just joined the stream late, but I have seen a few rotor comments here. Try changing rotors on an HD truck. I have. Yeah, I mean, that's what I was referring to as that's usually in the automotive industry. That's usually the shops that have brake lays here in the South, is they're usually dealing with F-250s, F-350s, E-vans, stuff like that. T-Corral isn't just about the rotor. You have to remove the brake can, caliper, axle, shaft, pull the hub off the spindle, then separate the rotor from now do a wheel seal. Yeah. Oh, I know. I love doing brakes on HD trucks or vans. They pay pretty good. Yes. I worked at a shop that did a lot of E-vans, and they're not hard. Rex Gaming, what would your advice be when you have two mechanics who don't agree on the cause of a problem? Opinions are like a-holes. There's no way to. The only suggestion I have is each of you sit down and state your case for why you think you're right of the cause of the problem. And may the better explanation win. Or a third party. That's pretty much it. Or prove who's right. But that's about it. Big Sean, Air Tools, half-inch impact, air hammer, cutoff wheel, die grinder, tire gauge. Nice blowgun to start with. Yeah. T. Corrales and managers wonder why a single axle rotor job is easily a full day and why a tandem takes a few days. Yeah. Charles, tad to your injury when I was 16. I fell 60 feet, crushed 3 vertebrae, broke both sides of my right ankle, and was paralyzed for 2 weeks. Damn. Made almost a full recovery within 3 years. That's awesome. I'm currently 42, permanently handicapped injury because of the incident. Don't take any pills. Don't do any drugs. And I've been a mechanic for 19 years. I walk and do everything. I almost made a full recovery. The only thing I can't do is run because of this permanent spinal cord injury. That's awesome that you made such a close to full recovery. Yeah. Who has a proof, as James Jones says. Always have proof to support your theory. Oh. You can do anything you want to if you put your mind to it and focus. Yep. ED for the win. You're welcome. GIE Auto, your volume is low. Let me know in the comments if my volume's that low. I'm maxed up on my Go XLR, and I'm clipping into the yellow, so I should be good on levels. Rex Gaming. Okay, I have a written documentation that says I have a bad turbo. The other mechanic doesn't think that's the case. The second one is a bit more thorough, it seems. Okay. C66C10, I'm in the rust belt. If the rotor comes off and is in spec, it gets turns. If it won't come off or has excessive run out, gets the pro cut. If it's out of spec or stupid amount of rust, replace it. Real game trip X Gaming, most like right, most that can prove it. What they're talking about. If you got two different techs, make them prove what they're saying. A bad turbo is easily proved with, if you're not producing boost or enough boost, what is expected out of the turbo. I know you probably have a custom vehicle, but a bad turbo isn't just a bad turbo. It should be producing verifiable data that it's bad. Or or the rotor, the turbine itself is hitting the side of the housing or something like that. But they should be able to prove it. 66C10, I treat it as if my own vehicle. My own vehicles, I put rotors on. I don't machine rotors, even when I had access to a brake lathe. Especially with my wife. Nothing wrong with saving the customer money. No. Nothing wrong with saving the customer money as long as it doesn't compromise the repair. That's where I draw the distinction. Machining my wife's rotors would mean I'd be remachining the rotors or putting rotors on about halfway through a brake job, because that's how she drives. Pat House, Milwaukee, 1-inch drive impact is insane. Does anything, never met its match. That's cool. Love my Ingersoll 1/2-inch thing. That's power. Bought it because I got worked with, had one for 25 years, no problems. Mine is bought in 08, I believe, 09, 07 or 08. Chris, Tech A and B store theory is how most ASE tests are worded. Yeah. Michael Poliniak, thank you for giving us all the great content all these years. I appreciate it. 66 T10 you guys use CO2 for AC leaks. Yes. John Dokirk, since my school has good partnerships with local dealership and we have everything but Ferrari, Lambo, McLaren, would it be worth trying to shoot for Porsche or Benz? That's up to you. Porsche is extremely specialized and there's limited amount of dealerships. So make sure they have a way to get you a job where you're willing to work. Mercedes-Benz is a little more, prevalent. But it's not a bad idea to go through their program or another maker model like, Toyota, Lexus, as well, or Honda, or, whatever, because that can give you a leg up in getting a job in the industry. But just be careful with specialty brands, because it can be very limiting to what you can do or where you can go in the industry. Getting out of school is what I mean. After you've got some experience, you can pretty much go anywhere and just have to relearn that company's systems. James Ohm, perfect example. I had another tech at my shop doing a starter. He diag it and then put a new starter in it. It didn't start. He bench tested it in the car and it didn't work. What he didn't do was verify power and ground. I found a voltage drop on the ground side within first 20 seconds of doing the bench test in the car myself. done this in front of my manager, so of course I was talking smack. My favorite story about that is, and it was a fleet shop I was working at, and we had an upper and a lower shop. There was a lower truck shop, and then the upper automotive light duty vehicle shop. I was up there, and one of the guys from downstairs came up just livid. He, these piece of crap Vision starters, and they're pieces of crap. And Vision, which is BBB Industries, which was a company that remanufactured Ford starters. The only difference between Vision and Motorcraft starters, Motorcraft Reman, was they didn't replace the plastics. Like when they did an alternator, the plastic cover that went on the back of the alternator would get replaced if it was a Ford Reman. They didn't do that whether it was a Vision OEM Vision remanufactured. And so I'm like, what's going on? So I go down there and click, no crank. I'm like, put it up in the air. 18 millimeter socket, crank, engine's locked up. Charlie Stone says Vision is good. Volume is good. Volume is good on my end. Renegade. I appreciate it. Yeah, power and ground. You can bench test a turbo, right? No. I mean, if you can mock up a way to power the turbo and measure the output of the turbo, maybe, but if your car has a boost gauge, you should be able to see what it's boosting to. And if it's boosting to where you expect the turbo to boost to, it's working. You got something else wrong. Positivity Incarnate. Hi there. Out of curiosity, I have a 2019 Chevy Trax big oil leak, probably booster, valve cover, and oil pipe. Is it worth fixing? 29. I mean, that's up to the customer, but probably. None of that stuff's really that expensive. So probably. Chris Storback, can I get some money and get you a custom theme song for your videos? It depend on the song, but I mean, if you want to commission a song for my, for the background, as long as it's not copywritten. 66C10, Charles, you're a strong man. I've been through torn AC joint, broken collarbone with less than a year. I just realized the mental game is worse than anything else. More power to you. Yeah, that's just incredible. Oil analysis can detect faulty turbos. Yeah, Mercedes is a better bet. On my end, when the pop-ups appear, the volume goes way up. I don't know. I don't. The thing is I only have control on my end. Like I'm looking at my audio volumes. I'm peaking at negative 15 decibels, which should be good. I've got a 5 decibel boost on the output from my Go XLR, and that's why it's at that point, because without that, the preamps in the Go XLR for the SM7B mic that I use is noisy, so I can't boost it too much on the Go XLR, so I boost it in OBS. So, I on my end, it's the levels are good. I don't have any problems on my end. Let me listen to it. So yeah, no, I mean, I don't hear any popping or anything like that. So I don't know. Okay, I can't. Yeah, I mean, my audio sounds fine on my end, so I don't know. I wish I could help you, but John DeKirk, I don't know. Benz, that I've already done my basic work on. We have 2 Porsche dealers in my city area. Okay. Talk to the placement people at the school to make sure they can get you a job at the Porsche dealer. Because if you want to work there, that's fine. But make sure they have a spot available to you if you go in the program. Because a lot of times, like, schools will promise you placements. They don't tell you that the placement might be across the country. Anyways, thanks for answering my question. Time to kick back and just listen to all the wisdom here. I'll make sure I'll sub to you. I appreciate it. Why? FYI, the YouTube algorithm sent me. Well, cool. T-Crow, speaking of diagnostic after treatment stuff, recently had an EGR valve have position issues, and it's ended up sticking open and dumped in a buttload of soot down the tailpipe and destroyed a one box. Recently I bought a pressure test kit. Yeah, that'll work. RX Gaming, Re-X Gaming. One boxes aren't cheap. I might install a gauge later on. Okay, yeah, boost pressure is going to be really what you need to diagnose a possible turbo problem. Chris, Storeback, John, I know some specialty brand techs that aren't well diversified and limit opportunities. Yes, picking a good brand is good, but you can limit job hopping for the future. Good point, but you know, James Jones, I mean, if there's underboost codes and you're verified there isn't a leak or on the charge tubes or intake, it's most likely a turbo in my experience. True. Oh. I'd smoke test to verify no leaks. That needs to be under higher pressure than a evap system. Charles talking to 66C10. Thank you so much. But everybody, injuries are different. Everybody can have a different outcome. But the mentality just keep on keeping on to provide for your family. That's where it at. Yeah, it's all about attitude. If you're my poor pitiful me, you're gonna be like a friend of mine that's bent over and hunched over with a back injury that they never did physical therapy on and basically crippled. Alan Michael, what's the best way to break out a 2015 Toyota Corolla oil filtering housing? Asking for a friend. Are you talking about the plastic part or the whole housing? Because it unbolts. But the plastic part it sucks when it's broken or somebody just destroyed it. I usually get them off with a very careful application of an air hammer. Is usually, and it still amazes me how people get those damn things that freaking tight. Real XX Gaming, the accelerator linkage is okay. James Jones, you have a voice that limits how high you can have your mic gain without it clipping. Yes, I am not a quiet person. Fun fact, my Sony cameras, the gain on my wireless mic system is at the lowest setting, and my Sony camera preamps are at their lowest setting. So I don't clip. And I can't, I have a Sennheiser wireless system as well, and I cannot use it with my, with those cameras because there is no way to not clip other than me talk very quietly like this is welcome to NPR, kind of thing. Chris Dorbeck, I hope you pursue the industry. John, we need more good people. This guy Here has tons of great videos to help beginners and seasoned techs aspiring to be better. I'm a shop owner and still enjoy learning. Chris, thank you very much. But he does have a point. I do have a lot of videos for young technicians. I have the same issues. Yeah, no, I mean, I record audio very low when I record audio, not streaming, and then have to boost it in post because of that exact problem. One of the things I had to learn a long time ago is about audio gain and clipping and all that, because I clipped a lot. And when I started, I was using a GoPro, and their audio preamp is absolute garbage. See, 66 C10 volume is great. Most of it's free to use, or maybe it's Epic Cinematic. Charles, I can hear you fine, but you just don't need don't need a projected microphone like somebody that we watch on news reports has to use because he blah blah blah. Well, my mic is you know, it gets cut out. 85 3000D. Thanking Chris for the encouragement. John Dokirk. I feel like I don't have a choice. At least my kid is away at college, in college himself in Florida at ERAU to be a pilot, and divorced, so can't afford initial crap pay. No, I don't have a phone that had Positivity Incarnate asking about his tracks. Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, they're not hard cars to work on. Chris Dorback, Amazon sells metal versions of Toyota housing. So does Worldpac. They keep them in stock. Yeah. The last shop we had both kinds and two of them each because it's such a common problem. James Jones, and yes, I made a manifold set to use with my smoke machine so I can adjust pressures up and down as needed. Yeah, you got to have enough pressure. You know, you're dealing with boost. Evap systems take less than a PSI. I don't want to talk about California and their emissions, Charles. Yeah. 66C10. What tunes do I listen to on the way to and from your previous shop? Since it was a long commute, I have a 40-minute commute and listen to sometimes music, sometimes podcasts, sometimes FRM, of course. I used to listen to my iPod a lot. It's an original, like second gen iPod. It's still a hard drive. The battery's completely dead. Using it in my current truck is a pain in the butt. So I mostly just listen to XM. What I listen to is incredibly varied. Country, pop, rock, classical music, blues, you know, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Eric Clapton, Rammstein. You know, I listen to music a good bit, you know, and pretty much old school rap. You know, I haven't listened to a whole lot of old school rap because there's not much of it on XM. I don't listen to local radio stations. Podcasts are not something podcasts or audiobooks, I wind up just zoning out on. I wind up not paying attention to them, so I don't ever actually enjoy them or anything else. It's not anything against podcasts. It's not anything against audiobooks. It's just I kind of zone them out. So, but yeah, I listen to a lot of different kind of music. Alan Michael, Airhammer was what worked. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I use. Chris Storback, what would you do if you had Mr. Beast money? Stop making very expensive videos and enjoy it. I mean, you know, Mr. Beast talks over and over again about how he doesn't have money because he invests everything back into his company for bigger and bigger and bigger. But, you know, I continue to work. I continue to do stuff. And, you know, I don't know what to tell you. Comfort Medic HVAC. Hey, what's up? Charles, who's Mr. Beast you talking about, Eddie Hall? Lou Wrenches, hey, do you think tool channels that don't wrench professionally like Deno Tools should be taken seriously when giving opinions on tools? No. No, honestly, if they're not, I mean, you can listen to them, but the only way to really, like, and I'm not, you know, talking crap about it, but like torque test. Okay, you go put it on a machine or whatever and you test the torque. Okay, what does it mean in real life? You know, does it take off that, you know, Honda crank bolt? Stuff like that. Real world is where real tool testing is, in my opinion. And, you know, Deno Tools has a lot more subscribers than I do, so apparently he's better at it than me. But, you know, I mean, it's just, you know, I don't, I mean, he's made his Deno Tools has made his, you know, channel on talking about Harbor Freight ads and stuff like that, which I don't know why people watch it when you get an email from Harbor Freight and they tell you what's on sale. But anyway, but yeah, I think they need to be used in order for you to evaluate a tool. Comfort Medic, Fire Rate, there's a guy selling an old gas station with an auto shop, and my father and I plan to start our own shop. Cool. And get ASC certified. I don't know if you're planning on buying the station or renting it. If you're planning on buying the station, find out about the gas tanks, the fuel tanks in the ground. If they have not been removed, huge EPA liability buying the shop, and your bank will probably tell you that. In order for him to sell it, I believe he's required, if it's no longer a working gas station, he will have to pull up those tanks. But make sure you find out about those gas tanks, because especially if they're really old, that's an EPA nightmare for you. Charles, I've been working automotive for 2 years. My shop trusts me on timing belt jobs. I've done 6 now. Could you make a tool list video for those jobs? I need those tools now. I usually borrow them. The problem comes into, there's a lot of different cars that take timing belts. And, you know, like the Ford products that you need actual timing tools. GM has several as well. You know, the Toyota that you need the crank, you have to have basically in order to get the damn bolt out. The inline 6-cylinder, you need the crank holding tool to break loose the crank bolt. That's an incredibly long video that nobody's gonna watch. Is the problem? You know, doing a Honda timing belt that doesn't require any special tools. It's just nuts and bolts and stuff. That's the problem. Is there that's such an expansive list? What would I include in that video? Would I go back to a B5 and a half Passat with the 2.8 in it, or the 3. I think it's 3.2, where you have to have the timing bar to do the timing job on that? That's the problem. Is there's so many different vehicles out there. Would I include Volkswagen? Would I include stuff like that? So that's the hard part. That's a very extensive video that would be hard to make, hard to remember everything I need to put in that video if I wanted it to be comprehensive. And then nobody wind up watching the hour-long video would have to be. Alan, my guy for today, I would be interested in a series on how to use an air hammer effectively. I don't know. Find out. I gotta go. I hate when it does that. Okay. James Jones, really depends on what vehicles you're doing those jobs on. Yeah. I mean, that's the biggest problem. Eclectic tastes like me. Yeah, I'm all over the place. James says, otherwise you could spend thousands on Amazon buying different tool sets. Yes. I mean, I've got multiple timing tools in my toolbox, and Charlie Stone, I'm a GS. Everyone is super cool with me borrowing for now. That's awesome. Positive Incarnate. So at the shop I'm at, not even the oldest and most experienced techs have touched an oscilloscope. It's mind-blowing to me. I've been using a scope for 20 plus years, and it's just, why it's a better version of a DVOM. Why wouldn't you know how to use it? James Jones says, sounds like you needed a raise, Charlie Stone. Yeah. Biggie Fits. I just recently saw Mr. Beast candy at Walmart. According to my son, don't buy it. I have not bought any of Mr. Beast candy, but apparently it's not good. Charlie Stone, so far, Toyotas, Hondas, Mitsubishis, appreciate it. I guess I buy as I go. The shop has supplied certain timing tools for various engines. Yeah, I mean, that's most vehicles. It's going to be maybe Polars, maybe that kind of stuff, and then it's specialty timing tools. James Jones says, Charlie, if they tell you no, go find another shop. Positive Incarnate. What would you recommend if I wanted to try to learn to use one and get one, or just accept I'm probably not going to get into the electrical that Jeep? Buy you a nice little tie-in to Friday's video. It's talking about budget scopes. Get you a cheap Hanatech scope. Damn it, I forgot to put that link in. Buy you a Hanatech scope, or go to AES Wave and buy the U scope and play with it. It's voltage over time. It's really not hard to grab the concept. Setting things so you see the image you want, how you want it presented is the biggest, challenge. But it's time and it's voltage. You've got a 5-volt sensor. It's going to be in the 5-volt range. It's setting voltage over time. So get the AES Wave 1-channel scope is $200. It's not, not cheap, but it's not really that much money, and you have a scope. So I would highly recommend just spending the money on a U-scope. Play with it when you have time. Learn how to use it, and trust me, it'll make you a better tech, regardless of what the other guys say. Because I don't know how you go through life as a technician and not know how to use a scope. John DeKirk. So Mr. Beast is like the tech that gives all his money back to Snap-on. I mean, he's a business owner, and he's the largest YouTuber, I think, at this point. So he just keeps going. He keeps going bigger and bigger and bigger with all of his projects. Eric Jano, do you work Saturdays? Not in a shop. Charles, yeah, Snap-on gets a lot of my money too. But it's just for the purposes of making bigger and more elaborate videos. Alan Michael, Saturday is double time. Charlie Stone, I felt that at work today. I feel like I need a raise. They're giving me an $1,800 bonus. I worked 18 months to get, and I'm spending it all on tools for a timing job. Thanks, man. Well, at least I appreciate you by giving you a nice bonus. Same here, everything from John Lee Hooker to Miles Davis to Pantera to Alice. And chains makes that ride enjoyable. Yeah, no, I like I said, depends what kind of mood I'm in and all that, Sometimes I just want to, headbang a little bit. Sometimes I want to, chill and, for me, like classical music is very relaxing for me. It just is. So, all over the place. Chris Starback says timing tools should be provided by the shop. Yes. That weighted 19 is a must-have. Yes. The weighted 19, the weighted 21, 22, and 24 is also a good idea. James Jones, I prefer the Torx because even sometimes with the weighted sockets, I've still needed heat. I had an LS that the weighted socket didn't work, and everything else was pre-weighted sockets. Positive Incarnate, I say I appreciate Den of Tools and guys like that just because he has helped me find stuff on Amazon or find brands and stuff I haven't heard of. Just my 2 cents. Watch who you want to watch. I mean, if you enjoy somebody, watch their content. I'm never going to tell you not to watch somebody because I don't watch them. I mean, I've gone back and forth with Den of Tools years ago. Not negative or positive. We chatted through, I want to say it was email, but it's been years. Seemed like a nice enough guy. It just, I assume that's what he does a lot of is, that kind of stuff. So if you enjoy his content, watch him. User 19, what up, pimp? What up? Charlie Stein, I've been looking at the MSig. Seriously, it's like $800, but MSig looks really useful. It is. Yeah, I mean, the tablet I really like the tablet kind of concept for a scope. One of the reasons why I still use my Veris Edge a bunch is because it's all in one. Grab it, go to the car, hook up your lines, scope. I don't have to drag my cart over there with my laptop. Just all contained and can scope in the parking lot or whatever I need to do. James Jones, I say some weighted sockets and a good harmonic balance puller are the big ones. Outside of the shop that should be buying the other timing tools. I will say a harmonic balancer installer, just in general, should also be on that list. because you really don't want to be hammering on a harmonic balancer to install it. Charles saying I'm buying pullers, etc. Other nice things off Amazon. Alan Michael Torch, I'm from Green Bay. I battle rust, so a daily day. The answer is fire torch. The U-scope is so small, you have no reason to not hook that thing up whenever you want to and just play around. James Jones said that. Exactly. I mean, it's just, it's so affordable. I mean, back coming up, scopes were really expensive, really hard to get. And it's just something that, that knowledge you can gain with that tool is just amazing. And now you can, $200 and you got a 1-channel scope. I'd have killed for that back in the day. James Jones, I wish I had the part number to a Mac puller I had. It's amazing. Never need anything else other than a basic 2 or 3 jaw puller. 66C10 scope knowledge is power. Yes. Pearl Jam, Renegade, the U-scope from ASE is an awesome little tool. Yep. GIE Auto, how about a Luber Goober video using a scope? Oh, agreed. We need more Luber Goober content. Alan Michael of my weighted 19mm socket. Yep. Jonathan Melton trying to decide if I want to upgrade my toolbox to either the Matco 2S or the 4S. I would go ahead and go for the 4S. It's more established, better options, etc. Just spend the extra money and get the 4S, in my opinion. Yeah, the Mac 1 is a pusher and puller. Yeah, it's HB531B. So if anybody needs a puller and installer, there you go. I'm not sure if anybody makes it cheaper. Johnny Kirk, the talk on scopes makes me glad that one of the classes I'm taking this fall is a DSO course. Pay a lot of attention in that class. That is a skill that will pay dividends like you will not believe, and especially going forward. You know, when you're talking communication fault problems, you're talking, bus problems, a scope is going to be invaluable. So pay really good attention in that class. Jonathan Melton, Matco Man has a lot of deals on a really nice deal on a 2S, which is $23 a month. I have a Kennedy older than me, but it's breaking and isn't holding any of my stuff anymore. What's your opinion on the 2S? I believe they're still made in Jamestown, so their quality is good. Understand you will be having to upgrade that toolbox. It's not going to be a one and done. As Renegade said, just go ahead and get the 6S toolbox. Matco makes really good boxes, so you have no problem worrying about that box. It's just future. I would recommend you go to the 4S. But if you understand that it's going to be a stepping stone kind of toolbox, go for it. Positive Incarnate, I third seeing Luber Goober again. I like to tease the Lube Tech and my shot showing in these videos. Now the introduction video, which when I introduced Luber Goober, it was as much an editing project as anything else, but it was multi-camera. I played multiple characters. I played the Snap-on guy and Luber Goober, and that's where I introduced him, which everybody loved that video. But when I started making fun of Luber Goober, I got a lot of pissed off people at me when I first introduced him. When I first did a standalone Luber Goober video. But it's fun to play him. Got to find some bang to play his ass. But anyway, James Jones says, after the class at Jodenkirk, keep doing things with your scope you have, otherwise you'll forget. Yes. You got to keep using it. You got to keep that knowledge up. Positive Incarnate, I'm curious about your opinion on VM tools. Nora 15XL. I think that's the neat set. Oh, the ratcheting ends on an extension. I think they would come in handy in a lot of weird ways. Simply because of custom length wrenches where you can get in where a, like a traditional mountain wrench won't get there because it's too long. That's where I see it would come in handy when you have to have a custom length to get in somewhere. So yeah, they're cool. John Melton, I thank you. I appreciate your opinion and thoughts. I've been watching for a long time. Help me in my journey being a flat rate tech. That's awesome. I appreciate what I can help. Charles Stein, I work for Christian Brothers, and they have an event called Mastering the Difference, and I took KNIPEX Misfire Diagnostics with Brandon Steckler and also Key Fob Systems. The company does help. Yes, I mean they're a weird company, but yeah, they do take training really serious. Alan, Michael, I enjoy your content. I appreciate you watching my content and stopping by. Oh. When I work for Challenger Lifts, I got very acquainted with Christian Brothers because Challenger Lifts was their I don't know if they still are or not, but they were the only lift manufacturer allowed other than Hunter. So all right, we got any more questions? Because the chat kind of looked like it kind of has slowed down. So, Positive Incarnate. Oh, also, I remember seeing a video on this, but if you want to, you can take a bank hang. When you empty it, cut it off at the bottom, and you can slide top on it over any other can you like to drink. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Bang actually tastes good, but every time I drink one, it just feels like a weight at the bottom of my stomach. GIE Auto, there's always a budget auto with the scope adapter. Using that thing will keep you busy. Yeah, I mean, or you can buy a Hanatech scope, which is to make Sawtell scope. But yeah. Jodenkirk, are there any national dealer networks like Penske or Hendrick that are known to be good or bad for entry-level techs? The Jodenkirk, the problem with national dealer networks like Penske or Hendricks is it comes down to the general manager and the shop manager. A lot of times they'll have corporate mandates and stuff like that they'll have to follow, but a lot of times a lot of stuff is left up to the actual managers of that specific dealership, and that's where the problems sometimes come in. So saying a blanket statement like this company is good to work for is probably not going to be true across the board. So I can't. That's the thing about it is, in the dealer world, things change when those people change jobs. So it's just something to be aware of. But yeah, so saying one dealership group or whatever is better, it depends on the location. Alan Michael says whiskey is better. Yes. Patriotic Immigrant, there are lots of cheap 4-channel Motuses on eBay. There's cheap Hanatech scopes on Amazon. They're decent. There's lots of different ways to get a good scope. A decent scope for not much money. Glad you liked it, because that's the truth. GIE is coming up on Game Time for the RNC. See you next week. And with that, GIE Auto, I'm going to go ahead and call it here. So I appreciate everybody stopping by. Hope you have a good Friday and a great weekend. And we shall see you next time. Same bat channel, same bat place. So as always, thanks for watching. I am the Flat Rate Master.